Okay, today we're going to talk about decimals. And again, just like we've done before, we're going to talk about addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. For addition, you have a couple of things you have to do special. So let's have, say, 2.3 plus 4.87. Okay, when you're adding decimals, you need to line up the decimal point. Okay, and it doesn't matter what you put on top or bottom. So I'm going to put 2.3. And below it I'm going to put 4.87, and we're going to add these up. Notice the decimal points are lined up. Anytime you have a hole here without a number, you must put a 0 in that place. Okay, and now we can add up just like you've done before. We're going to add straight up and down. So 7 plus 0 is 7. 8 plus 3 is 11, and you carry the 1. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. And lastly, that decimal point, because these are lined up, it just goes straight down wherever it was. Okay, so the decimals get lined up. So the answer to 2.3 plus 4.87 is 7.17. Okay, now we've already talked about side integers, so the same rules apply. A positive plus a positive is a positive. A negative plus a negative is a negative. And if you have one of each, you will subtract and then look at the sign of the bigger one. Just because it's decimals does not change that at all. So please make sure that you are reviewing those sign integers if you're having trouble with that. Let's look at a case with a negative or a subtraction symbol. So let's go with 2.3 minus 4.87. Okay? Whenever we're going to subtract, we always go big minus small. So in this case, I'm going to have to put the 4.87 up on top. And we know this is a subtraction problem because there's only one negative sign here. And then below it, we're going to put the 2.3. And we're going to subtract it. It doesn't matter that this is the minus 1. We'll deal with that later. You have a hole here, so you got to put that 0 in, and now we subtract. And you do 7 minus 0 is 7. 8 minus 3 is 5. And 4 minus 2 is 2. And don't forget that if one of these, like if you had, say, 0 with a 7 on the bottom, that you're going to have to borrow from the column to the left in order to do that subtraction. Okay? It's nothing special, but you do have to remember that. So the answer here is 2.57. And now we have to go look back at the top. 4.87 is bigger than 2.3 because it was minus. The answer here is negative 2.57. Okay, and lastly, let's talk about multiplication. Multiplication, say you have 2.3 times 4.87. You can put either on top. Generally, we put the longer number on the top, one with more digits, but it doesn't have to be. And if you notice, as I multiplied this, I did not line up the decimal points. You do not need to line up the decimal points. As a matter of fact, when you write it out, you don't even really need the decimal points because they completely are not helpful right now. This is just a standard multiply problem. We're going to actually multiply 487 times 23. 7 times 3 is 21, carry the 2. 8 times 3 is 24, plus that 2 is 26. And 4 times 3 is 12, plus the 2 is 14. And in the second column, you add a 0 when you move over, and we got 7 times 2 is 14, carry the 1. 8 times 2 is 16, plus that 1 is 17, carry another 1. And 4 times 2 is 8, plus that carried 1 is 9. And we will add those up, and you get 1. This is a 10, so we have a carried 1, so 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Another carried 1 will give us 11. Now is when you go back and look at the decimal. On the original one, there is one number right here. I don't know why that's gray. There's one number after the decimal point. Here, there are two numbers after the decimal point. So this is a total of 1 plus 2 is 3, so I need 3 numbers after my decimal point, so I'm putting my decimal point right there, and it's going to be 11.201. So when you multiply that, you get 11.201, and that makes sense because this number is about 5, this one's about 2, and 5 times 2 is 7, or 10, so 11 makes sense for that to be an answer. Just like before, if you have one negative, the answer is going to be negative. If you have two negatives, the answer will be positive. If you have any questions, please make sure you ask.